Welcome. I'm Janelle Kolaski, a career mindset coach and actor.
And I'm Amanda Dubois, a self-authenticity and prosperity life coach and actor as well. And we're your co-host of Mindset Artistry YouTube channel,
where we teach you the art of discovering and using your mindset
to build a career and life you desire.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Mindset Artistry Podcast. I'm super excited for the guest we have today, Mr. Justin Smith. He means so much to me. One of my former clients. So inspiring. That's what I love about coaching. We come in and we want to help from all of the past mistakes we made and offer some outside perspective and support. But I am always inspired by my clients. So thank you so much for existing and for coming on our show. A lot of times people are kind of confused about the idea of coaching, specifically around career. If they're creatives, they will go to an acting coach. Maybe they've played sports and they go coaching for sports, or they play an instrument and they get tutoring around that. Well, we talked about a lot during your time of coaching, but you said that building relationships and the self-care component really stood out to you and really helped you over those 3 months. I would love if you could speak about what you learned about building relationships through working through the coaching container.
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys for, having me on. I love the podcast and I love, working with Janelle. So it's made my whole life a whole lot easier. um, but yeah, no. So I had, been working for a while and had known about the networking and everything, but you had said some things specifically to where I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And I don't know why I didn't think about it. And some of those things were you go to casting director workshops, you get their contact information and they tell you oh, reach out I don't know, once every 6 months or so. But I didn't know that you could take it a step further and follow them on social media and comment on, engage with their posts. So they can see that, you're a living, breathing human. And then you also have genuine, interest in the content that they create and, you're commenting and stuff like that. And then even just the people that you audition for, are also a part of that network. And that's not something that I realized. I thought you have to specifically go in and see them and meet them in person for you to get their contact information. But now that I know, if I'm called in for an audition, they are now a part of my network and I can add them to my list and look up their contact information. Look, I'm a detective. I'm a pilot. So I'll look that up and then, just remember what they called me in for, how the audition went, what my feelings about that role were, very genuinely, I don't want to, just put on any airs just to be writing something. And then just, I don't know, again, with those reach outs, just knowing how to write them so that you sound an actual human being, and not you're, wanting to get something out of it, but just looking for those moments of where the true human connection is and, just keeping in contact with them. I mean, sometimes they're not going to say anything, but I have had success and Janelle knows, when somebody actually responded to my email, I was like, oh my God, it works. So it actually 100% works. And so I thank you for that because that was a game changer for me.
I love it. It is definitely very exciting when it works.
Yeah.
And you were so great about the consistency and breaking it down to bite-sized pieces. And this is what I'm going to do this week. And this is a little scary, but I'm going to work through that and do it anyway. And that's really what it's about. So thank you for sharing that. And it was lovely to watch your confidence build in general, but around that is, as actors, when we want to work with fellow actors, maybe even a director or writer, we feel pretty cool about reaching out to them because we feel like we're the same level playing field. But there's something about casting directors that many of us, myself included years ago, are so afraid of, but they want to collaborate with us too, as they've said on our podcast. So I'm excited for you with that. And the second point we want to talk about is the self-care and making space and time just for you and working through things as they come up without judging yourself. So I'd love if you could tell us more about that.
Of course. So I thought my self-care was okay until I met Janelle and she was like, so when do you take a break for yourself? And I'm like, I was like, oh, called that, okay. So I just didn't have a day that I kind of set up for myself. I'd probably take like, breaks within the day, to where I guess I kind of use that for myself. But like for me, I like to call myself an extroverted introvert, like being around people and like get energy from that. But then there's also like months where I like need my alone time. I can't really be like around people that much, and I need to kind of like pour back into myself. So I noticed like when I did take your advice and like set aside like just one day out of the week to where I either do nothing and like stay in the house all day, or like maybe I'll do something for me, like I don't know, go on a walk or like go to, a bakery or something like that, or I can have, a conversation with a friend, but like I wrote down how many conversations I'm having. I know you and I had talked about like my long hour plus conversations with friends and how I was not getting anything done. And just blocking off time to where like, okay, I'm going to get work done at this specific time. And then, once I get that done, then, go ahead and, talking to more people will be my reward. But I think what really helped was like that blocking out of time. Okay, from these hours, I'm going to be, doing this amount of work. And then having a specific day, I chose Sunday, to be able to be like, okay, this is going to be my best day. And sometimes that changes depending on like what the week looks like. So instead of, Sunday, maybe it's Saturday, or maybe it'll be Wednesday because, that just happens to be the day I'm like the most free. But I mean, it's definitely a lot. And even just on the mental side of it, just is also about, self. We had talked a lot about like getting to the point of like where when you look at other people and where they are in their career, when does it stop being inspiration and starts being like, why am I not there yet? Advice that you gave me is like, all those things are valid. And I've heard like, times and times again, like everybody's journey is different. Like you'll get there when you get there. But what you said that helped out a lot was just, you're allowed to feel it. You can sit down, like lay down, literally physically lay down, and like all of those things rush into you. And it's not necessarily like feeling has like underlying layer. It's not always like what it appears on the surface, but it's like there's like the underlying tone like underneath it. So you could see someone who's like just popping off, like they're booking like these co-stars and guest stars, and it's not necessarily you don't like that they're doing that. It's more so you're like, wow, I feel like I'm putting in a lot of work and like just not seeing the fruits of my labor. I feel like I'm behind, or whatever have you. And it's all okay. If I think about it, I really don't know how long they've been doing this. I don't know, who their agents are. I don't know what kind of pull they have. I don't know, like if they're, just like really killing it in these auditions and have mastered something that they, in terms of like being able to like put a lot of themselves into it and have just like cared about like what casting thought was right. Or, whatever have you. Maybe they're going out for roles that are exactly right for them, and, they're just, killing it in that department. So it's a lot of different components. And like, just because it's not happening right now doesn't mean it won't happen, ever. That like down and really just like allowing myself to like wonder what are these feelings that are coming up. And then I've been able to move on to the next thing. And it's like made a world of difference for me.
Oh my gosh, you're making me almost cry over here.
Been
And
live.
well, I see it. Well, because I know exactly what it's like. I had a cry earlier today because I'm exhausted and things are changing in my own life. It's always going to keep happening, but like you're speaking to, which I appreciate, you start to gather tools along the way, and you're just like, all right, you lay down and you feel it, and you always feel better after, and you have clarity. So, oh my goodness, you're so amazing. Thank you for sharing all this. We see the coaching works.
Yeah.
And Justin, thank you so much for sharing your story. I think a lot of people have hesitations around coaching. There's like
Yeah.
this stigma behind coaching. Like, what is it? Is it therapy? Are you going to have me dive into my childhood and like go deep into it? It's like, it's not that. Yes and no, right? We're not certified for that. We're not therapists. We're not psychologists. We do have backgrounds in it, myself and Janelle, and we have an interest in it. But I'm curious on what impact have you had in like the connection and relationship with yourself that you would recommend for someone else who is hesitant about coaching? Like from the 3 months that you started, I mean, from the first time you started with Janelle and the hesitation to
Mhm.
that end of the 3 months, what is your advice for someone who's like, I don't know if coaching's for me. And listen, we're not for everybody. The way she coaches and the way I coach are very different, but yet very similar. But what would you recommend to them who's someone who is hesitant about coaching and wants to coach, but doesn't understand what it's like or what it is? And what's your best advice for them?
Yeah. So like for me, I felt like, and Janelle knows like my hesitation. Like we went back and forth for a while.
I wasn't going to say it. Amanda was talking. I was like, oh, I tracked him down.
Gosh, but like brief backstory, we met through a mutual friend. My friend was working at a co-working space, and I met Janelle. She told me that she was a full-time working actor and model, and I was like, how the hell she do that? And so I wanted to learn from her, and she told me that she did like a mindset and like career coaching type thing, and I was like, okay, that sounds like really interesting, and like she's gonna hold you accountable and blah blah blah. And so I was just really hesitant about it because this was like a real like deep dive into it. And I think because like, it was a financial commitment there, I was like, oh fuck, I have to like really, okay. To like really like, be on myself, and I have to really hold myself accountable. And this is going to be another person that like I report to like every week, every other week, who's going to be saying like, so what have you done? Have you worked on the things that we were assigning? No? Okay, why not? So, but I think for me, like what ultimately like got me there was the point, like I reached a point to where I could no longer do it by myself. And I recognized that, and I was like, so what point, like, am I going to keep rummaging around in the dark, trying to figure this out by myself, or am I going to rely on like a community? And I don't know how spiritual everyone is, but, I've dipped into, tarot and, praying, all of that stuff. And a lot of things that were coming up for me was like, this is going to be the year for you to rely on like community, which is scary because like, meeting all these new people and you're letting these people into your life and like showing them like your vulnerability, your insecurities, and like, but they also get to be a part of your triumph and your strength. And like, that, like, I appreciate that so much about Janelle because she's like, look, call me, text me when you're with me, when you're not with me. And like, not a lot of people do that. The people are like, okay, you have an hour. Okay, stop. That's it. I'll see you next week. And like, and that's it. But like, she actually like genuinely like cares about, making sure that you get what you need out of these 3 months. And I love that she's been through it. So she actually knows like, how to talk to people. She knows like what it feels like. She knows how to just like, get her point across and then also kind of listen to like where you're at. And, sometimes I felt like maybe I was like saying the same thing, in like terms of like my struggles and stuff. But, like she never made me feel like, that it was a burden or anything to her. Sometimes I felt like I was a burden, like texting her, like, or whatever. But she like reassured me that it really wasn't. It was really just me and like me being in my own head. But I definitely say like you're going to get to a point to where you can't do it by yourself, and like it's better for you to enlist the help of someone else, and like make sure like if it's someone that you even have an inkling that you might vibe with, like test it out. And if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. You can like search for another coach or like just be open to like what happens. But I definitely think that coaching is like a really good tool if you just have a lot of questions. And like especially go to somebody who is the place where you want to be, because they're gonna like they're gonna know where you are, know how to get there. I mean, of course, like your like little anecdote is gonna be a little different, but they can give you a general basis, and then you can fill in the pieces like yourself.
Well, my goodness. Thank you, Justin. Oh my God, I'm so happy I was helpful. Because Amanda and I were like, we just want to help so much. And am I asking the best questions? Am I helping guide them? So, well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this and answering everything so beautifully. That's all we have for you at this time. But I'm very excited to share with our listeners that we're going to have Justin again for a whole hour talking about all the amazing stuff that he does. And so please make sure you come back for that episode. And yeah, so Justin, we're going to say bye now. but thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Justin.
What are your thoughts about this episode?
Drop it in the comments and let us know what you want to dive into next.
Subscribe, like, share, and click the link below to book a free consultation. And
We'll see you next time.